Chapter 1. Deep in the Sinnoh region, a man ran through an abandoned factory, dodging energy blasts. A flock of Golbat were on his tail. The man ducked and weaved. He darted left, he zoomed right, but the Golbat would not give up. A lightning bolt seared through the air. Direct hit. The man screamed and fell to the ground. Everything went dark. When he opened his eyes, a woman with purple hair loomed over him. She wore a Team Galactic jumpsuit and an evil smile. It was Jupiter, one of the most powerful and dangerous members of the criminal organization known as Team Galactic. A snarling Skuntank stood by her side. "I see we finally caught up to you," Jupiter said. "Now, show your face." The man ripped off his disguise and revealed his true identity. It was Looker, the international police officer. He had come all this way to catch Team Galactic, but they'd caught him instead. "The jig is up," he admitted. He stood up and dusted off his brown detective coat. "That coat is so out of style," Jupiter cracked. Looker just grinned. "I think you should know, for a lady, you're quite rude." She scowled. "Isn't that a shame? However, there are many things I'm dying to ask you about. For starters, how much do you know about us?" Skuntang's claws began to glow, a sure sign that a slash attack was on its way. Looker didn't want to answer any of Jupiter's questions, but it was starting to look like he wouldn't have much choice. Chapter 2. Not far away, Ash, Brock, and Dawn had no idea that one of their friends was in trouble. They were relaxing in Floroma Town, watching TV. "For this year's Pokemon contest, there's a brand new schedule on tap," the TV announcer reported. "To the east of Mount Coronet and Daybreak City, it's the exciting Daybreak contest. And, for the first time in quite a while, it'll be a double performance." "Double performance? Wow!" Dawn exclaimed. Brock checked his Pokegear. "Daybreak City's right on the way to Sunyshore City," he said. "What are you going to do, Dawn?" Ash asked. "Enter the Daybreak contest, of course." Her proud water-type Pokemon, Piplup, flapped its wings and chattered in excitement. "So you're going to give that double performance a shot," Ash said. "Right," Dawn cheered. "Truth is, I've really been dying to try a double performance one more time. It's important, since I didn't win before. Know what I mean?" "You bet I do," Ash said. "Great." His little yellow electric-type Pokemon, Pikachu, thought it was great too. They set out right away. As they walked through the flowered meadows of Sinnoh, everyone was excited. Pikachu and Piplup led the way, singing. It seemed like nothing could go wrong, until something did. Pikachu spotted something in the meadow and stopped in its tracks. Piplup stopped singing. "Piplup?" it questioned. Ash looked at his Pokemon in concern. "What's up?" Pikachu didn't answer. It ran into the flowers. That's when Ash realized what Pikachu had seen. There was a wounded Pokemon in the meadow. "Pikachu, wait!" Ash cried. He and his friends followed Pikachu to the injured Pokemon. "A Meowth," Ash said, upset by how pale and still the Pokemon looked. Its eyes were closed. Pikachu gave it a gentle shake, but it didn't stir. "It looks bad," Dawn said in a worried voice. Suddenly, Meowth gave a mighty shudder. It was awake. It stumbled to its feet, rubbing its head. Then it opened its eyes and screamed. "Yipes!" Meowth shouted. "It's the Twerps!" Ash couldn't believe his ears. "It's Team Rocket's Meowth!" he cried. 2 points, Meowth said, sounding annoyed. Then terror passed over his face. "What about Jesse and James?" Before he could find an answer, Meowth collapsed to the ground. Ash hurried to help him. Meowth wasn't exactly a friend, but Ash couldn't stand to see any Pokemon in pain. Even this one. "Meowth, you okay?" Brock carefully lifted Meowth. "Meowth needs medical help," he said. "We'll talk later." Fortunately, Brock knew exactly what to do. He always carried his Pokemon healing equipment with him. He applied a healing spray to Meowth's wounds. Man, that spritz kinda stings, Meowth complained weakly. Now I just need to put a wrapping on it, Brock said. He wound a bandage around Meowth's injured arm. Once Meowth was taken care of, Ash couldn't wait to get some answers. What happened to you? Just the thought of it made Meowth fume. It was those fashion freaks, he shouted. Uh-oh. Ash and his friends knew exactly what that meant. Team Galactic. What were they up to now? Chapter 3. See, we were tailing you twerps, doing that thing we do so well, Meowth explained. Then, as we were dragging our empty tummies through the forest foraging for food, Ash, Brock, and Dawn listened carefully as Meowth told a story. He explained that Team Rocket had been wandering in the forest. They had completely lost their way. There was no food, and there was no way out of the forest. But there was a sound like thunder rumbling over their heads. But it wasn't thunder. It was a large, gray airship hovering in the sky. A giant golden G was painted across a steel hull. Jessie pointed at the ship. That mark! James recognized it too. Freaks of fashion! Yeah, Team Galactic, Meowth shouted. So let's go, Jessie suggested. Ho! James and Meowth agreed. The ship rocketed through the sky. Team Rocket raced through the forest, trying to keep it in sight. Soon they reached a large, abandoned factory. They hid behind the bushes and watched as the ship landed in a clearing. Heads up, folks, Meowth said. I think we're gawking at Team Galactic's base. Team Rocket decided to take a closer look. They found a ladder and propped it against the side of the factory. Soon they were on the roof. Now all they needed was a way inside. Finally, Team Rocket found an opening in the roof. It let them peer down into the factory. That's only Spotted Looker running from Jupiter. They saw Jupiter's Golbat catch Looker and knock him to the ground. They saw Jupiter getting ready to attack. And then they saw what they had to do next. We've got to save him. Dig? Meowth said. James wasn't so sure. A member of the International Police? Please. Looker was one of the good guys. And Team Rocket hated good guys. By law, Team Rocket doesn't save the law, Jessie reminded Meowth. The Pokemon explained his idea. But doing the right thing for a change might help us put Team Galactic on the fashion garbage heap where those freaks belong. James finally got it. We'd be putting the International Police to work for us. Using the good guys to accomplish our evil deeds surely works for me, Jessie agreed. They chanted together. Team Rocket's gonna grow and thrive. Those fashion freaks will take a dive. No jive. Down below, Jupiter's Skuntank was about to attack Looker. But before it could unleash its slash attack, Greenvine shot through the air and wrapped around its paw. Skuntank was trapped. What the? Jupiter looked up. Team Rocket waved down at her. James's Carnivine had unleashed the Vine Whip attack that left Skuntank all tied up. There's room for one evil team in this town, Jessie called down. And Team Rocket is its name, James added. Rest easy, police dude, Meowth told Looker. We're here to save you. Looker didn't look particularly pleased. Not you three, he muttered. Jupiter wasn't any happier to see them. Incompetent pests, she said. Stay out of my business. Then she signaled with a fist in the air. A moment later, the sky filled with Golbat. They swooped, they swarmed. Their fangs gleamed as they unleashed a powerful attack. Team Rocket tried to fight back, but it was no use. The powerful, high-pitched sound waves were coming fast and furious. The Golbat worked together, combining their attacks into one enormous explosion. Team Rocket went flying through the air. And that was the last thing Meowth remembered. Chapter 4. Team Galactic may be weird, but they sure pack a wallop, Meowth told Ash and his friends. Yep, so we fought the good fight alright. They got their filthy mitts on Jessie and James. But the explosion sent me into a solo blast-off. When I came to, I was actually being rescued by you twerps. Brock felt bad for the Pokemon. You've had quite a tough time. Thanks for the save, twerp, Meowth said. Then he jumped to his feet. There was no time to waste. Meowth stomped into the meadow. Meowth, hold on, Ash called, chasing after him. Where are you going? Dawn added. Meowth turned back, a fierce look on his face. Jessie and James are waiting for me. Back there. He pointed in the direction he had come from. Dawn understood. She just couldn't believe it. You're going back to Team Galactic's base? You could really get hurt, cried Brock. Meowth didn't care. He had to save his friends. And he wasn't going to let anyone stop him. Okay, Ash said, when he saw that Meowth wasn't going to listen. We're going with you. Let's make sure we're packed up and ready, Brock suggested. Right, his friends agreed. Brock had put Meowth's description of the factory into his Pokegear to pinpoint its location, so they knew exactly where to go. The Figo Ironworks. Meowth was confused. I appreciate you lugs patching me up, he said, but you lugs and I are enemies, dig it? I can't take charity from you. Dawn knew Meowth didn't think he needed their help, but he was wrong. Think of it like this, she said. We're helping Looker for us. Yeah, Brock said. Looker's a friend. He's helped us out, and now it's our turn to help him. Right. So come on, Ash urged Meowth. Hurry it up and lead us to their base. Okay, Meowth? When Meowth didn't move, Ash and his friends started off down the road. They knew the Scratch Cat Pokemon would follow, and he did. Team Galactic had tossed Team Rocket and Looker into a jail cell, but Jessie wasn't giving up. Excuse me, she shouted. Anybody home? Nobody answered. A lazy Skuntank lay on the floor, glaring at the prisoners. Enough with the attitude, she shouted. I'm going to pluck the fur off your annoying self, strand by strand. Ready or not. Don't touch, Looker cried. Jessie's hands wrapped around the bars. Electricity sizzled through the steel. She dropped to the ground, twitching spastically. Hi, Mommy, she moaned dramatically. I'm home. Outside the cell, Skuntank laughed. There are booby traps everywhere, Looker explained, and since the electronic devices won't work, we can't just use our Pokeballs. Be careful. While Jessie got her strength back, James tested out one of the Pokeballs. Looker was right. The Pokeball didn't work. We'll all be dipped, he exclaimed. Jessie burst into angry tears. Just great, she told Looker. Now you tell us. Looker sighed. He felt terrible. I shouldn't have involved you, he said. I'm sorry. James couldn't let him take all the blame. We involved ourselves, don't you see? Our disdain for Team Galactic brought us here. The words Team Galactic reminded Jessie how angry she was. She jumped up, clenching her fists. We'll pound those fashion freaks into a fashion pulp. And since we did manage to barge into their base, all that remains is to defeat their boss, James said. Looker shook his head. Their boss isn't here. James was shocked. If this isn't headquarters, what is it? It appears to be their secret factory, Looker explained. A factory for secrets? Jessie asked. The electric zap had muddled her brain. Let me explain, Looker said. At one point in time, this factory was the largest and most successful manufacturer in the entire Sinnoh region. It was closed down due to excessive pollution, but now Team Galactic has been using it as their secret factory, if you will. Secret in the sense that they're using it to make something. But what? Chapter 5. Looker was right. Team Galactic was using the factory to make something. Something big. At the center of the Figo Ironworks stood a secret laboratory. When Jupiter arrived, the Team Galactic scientist was waiting for her. Charon was smiling. A thin red chain floated in midair. It whirled in a narrow loop, making the room glow. Ah, To look upon the exquisite beauty of the red chain, Jupiter said. It's remarkable we could recreate it from the Fieldstone City meteorite. Not recreate it, resurrect it, Charon corrected her. Don't forget that the brilliant genius who should be credited with bringing it back into our world is yours truly, known to you as the humble Charon. He burst into mad laughter. Jupiter groaned. I hate that laugh. Charon laughed even harder. What are your plans for the international policeman? Jupiter asked. Cyrus has already informed me that he has his own special plans for him. Cyrus is the leader of Team Galactic. As Jupiter and Charon plotted in the lab, Cyrus is at the top of Mount Coronet, putting the finishing touches on his plan. For months now, he'd been collecting, stealing, really, powerful objects he needed. The adamant orb, the lustrous orb, his Team Galactic henchmen had obtained them for him. He was finally about to put them to use. One of his most trusted henchmen, Saturn, was there to help. While Cyrus sat, comfortable inside Team Galactic's secret base, Saturn tried to smash a hole in the side of the mountain. Toxicroak, use Rock Smash, Saturn ordered. The poison and fighting-type Pokemon aimed a Rock Smash attack at the mountain. The wall of rock exploded, revealing a giant stone gateway. Saturn gasped. The massive door was engraved with strange, elaborate patterns. A golden globe glowed at its center. Cyrus watched it all on his monitor. He smiled. Saturn opened up a silver briefcase. A golden lattice emerged and floated down toward the stone gateway. When it touched the stone, the gateway crackled with energy. Master Cyrus, Saturn said, excited. We have found it. This is truly the gateway to Spear Pillar. Yes, very well, Cyrus said. Block off the area. Yes, sir, Saturn said. Cyrus was growing impatient. His triumph was so close. But if he rushed, he might get sloppy. We will not proceed there until all preparations have been made. Nothing can stop us now, Cyrus thought. Maybe so. But Ash, Brock, Don, and Meowth were determined to try. They were crammed into the Team Rocket hot air balloon, floating toward the Fugo Ironworks as fast as they could. Dig it, guys, Meowth pointed as the factory came into sight. Up ahead. But the factory wasn't the only thing up ahead. A flock of Pokemon were headed straight for them. Golbat! Brock cried. Oy vey, Meowth moaned. Ash was ready for a fight. Pikachu, help us out. Pachirisu, we need you too, Don added, tossing out a Pokeball. Pachirisu, a blue and white electric-type Pokemon, burst out. The 3 spikes at the tip of its long tail sizzled with electric charge. Ash threw out 2 more Pokeballs. Staraptor, Gliscor, I choose you. Staraptor, a normal and flying-type Pokemon, burst out of its Pokeball. Pikachu jumped onto its back. Gliscor, a ground and flying type, stretched its wings and took flight. Pachirisu hopped aboard. They veered toward the Golbat flock. Pikachu! Ash shouted. Use Thunderbolt, now! Pikachu unleashed its Thunderbolt attack. A yellow energy bolt sizzled into the Golbat flock. Pachirisu, discharge! Don cried. The fluffy little electric-type Pokemon took aim at the Golbat. The sky blazed with the blue energy of its discharge attack. It was too much for the Golbat. They spiraled through the air, out of control. Soon everyone had dropped to the ground, out cold. But Ash knew there was no time to celebrate their triumph. Let's land over there, he said, pointing to the roof of the factory. As the balloon landed, a figure stepped out of the shadows. Who's that? Meowth yelled. It was Jupiter, and she wasn't alone. Chapter 6. Skuntank, use Flamethrower, ordered. The bulky poison and dark-type Pokemon raised its tail and shot a wall of fire at the hot air balloon. Piplup leapt into action. It countered the attack with Bubble Beam. A stream of bubbles collided with Skuntank's gush of fire, turning it to steam. Ash and his friends climbed out of the balloon before Skuntank could launch another attack. They tried to run, but Jupiter blocked their way. "You all seem so good at popping up out of nowhere," she said with a taunting smile. "Want to join Team Galactic?" Dawn wrinkled her nose. "That would be so... you." Meowth wasn't interested in Jupiter's jokes. He had a team to rescue. "What did you do with Jesse and James?" he demanded. "And what about Looker?" Ash added. Jupiter looked more closely at Ash. Then she peered at Brock and Dawn. Suddenly she seemed to recognize them, and the smile dropped off of her face. "Oh, Mesprit," she said, her voice filled with silent fury. "Azelf, Uxie." Ash and his friends recognized those names. They were the names of the Lake Trio, three mysterious legendary Pokemon who were said to protect the Sinnoh region. Ash, Brock, and Dawn had seen a vision of them, hovering over their lakes. But how would Jupiter know a thing like that? And why would she care? "Why did it have to be you?" Jupiter asked. They didn't know what to say. "I'm talking about the Lake Trio, of course," Jupiter added. Her fists were clenched. Her eyes were narrowed. "Why is it that they chose you?" Ash was confused. "What do you mean, they chose us? You saw them!" Jupiter exclaimed. "The legendary Pokemon they say reside in those lakes." Brock decided to get to the bottom of this. "All right," he said. "How do you know about that?" No one was more confused than Meowth. "Does one of you twerps want to clue me in here? I'm kind of flying blind here." "We know everything about all of it," Jupiter told Brock. "The truth of the matter is, we were the ones who were supposed to have synchronized with the Lake Trio." She signaled to her Golbat. They had recovered enough to launch another attack. The flock veered toward Ash and his friends, but Pikachu and Staraptor swooped in and intercepted them. Pikachu launched another Thunderbolt attack. The Golbat squealed in pain and anger. Meowth took advantage of the chaos. "You've got a big mouth," he told Jupiter. "Where are Jesse and James? Tell me." His claws glowed as he prepared his Fury Swipe's attack. Jupiter was ready. "Quick, Skuntank! Flamethrower!" Skuntank extended its deadly tail and shot a thick column of fire at Meowth. "Pip up! Bubble Beam, let's go!" Dawn cried. The brave water-type Pokemon threw itself between Meowth and the wall of fire. Its Bubble Beam turned the flame into an explosion of steam. The blast threw everyone to the ground. Gliscor and Staraptor landed just in time. Pikachu and Pachirisu jumped off their backs, prepared for battle. "Surrounding us, eh?" Jupiter said. She didn't sound worried. "Skuntank, use Toxic, now!" Skuntank spewed out a massive gush of venomous sludge. "It's toxic!" Brock cried. "Don't breathe it in!" His friends covered their noses and mouths, trying to avoid the flying gunk. As it spattered onto the roof, it released puffs of poisonous gas. "Staraptor! Gliscor! Heads up!" Ash warned his Pokemon. Staraptor wrapped its large wings around Pikachu to shield the smaller Pokemon from the clouds of poison. It was exactly the distraction Jupiter needed. She ran away. "Hey, wait!" Brock called. "That flake flew the coop," Meowth complained. "The Golbat are gone too," Brock realized. In fact, everyone was gone. Moments later, the Team Galactic ship lifted into the air. They were getting away. Pikachu climbed onto Staraptor's back, ready to give chase. Ash was tempted to let them, but he knew they had something more important to do. "Pikachu and Staraptor, wait a minute," Ash said. "We've got to check for Team Rocket and Looker first." Ash was right, but still, no one was very happy to watch the ship disappear into the distance. Team Galactic had escaped. Again. Even though she'd gotten away, Jupiter wasn't very happy either. As the ship carried her off, Jupiter stared out the window, muttering to herself. "I don't get it. Why did the Lake Trio choose them in the first place? Across from her, Charon was hunched over a screen. Jealous of those children, are we? Jealous? Jupiter rolled her eyes. Don't be silly. It's not my style. Charon laughed. Jealousy is a human emotion, you know. Jupiter turned the conversation back to business. Is the red chain safe or not? Don't worry, Charon told her. It's located right below your feet. Surprised, Jupiter turned her gaze to the trapdoor by her feet. The red chain was so close. As close as their destiny. She put Ash and the others out of her mind. They weren't important. All that mattered was getting the red chain to Cyrus on Mount Coronet. Then the real work would begin. Chapter 7. Looker! Ash cried as they wandered through the abandoned factory. Where are you? Brock shouted. His voice echoed off the high ceilings and rusty equipment. Jesse! James! Meowth yelled. Report! There was no reply. They wound through one empty corridor after another, but there was no sign of the prisoners. This was beginning to seem hopeless, but they refused to give up. All the way on the other side of the factory, Looker and Team Rocket hadn't given up hope either. But they were beginning to wonder what was going on outside their cell. It's gotten awfully quiet out there, Looker said. He peered through the bars. Surely they hadn't just left their prisoners behind. My stomach's making tons of noise, Jesse complained. James sulked. Starvation simply stinks. Shh, Looker urged Jesse and James. The three of them listened hard. They all heard it. Footsteps. They were getting closer. Someone's coming, Looker whispered. He dared another peek through the bars. It's Ash. Dawn spotted him. It's Looker. Brock hurried over. Are you okay? He asked. Meowth joined him impatiently. All right. Do you know where my peeps are? Yes, they're both right here with me, Looker said. Jessie leapt to her feet. Meowth! She had never been so glad to see the cranky Pokemon. James and Jessie were both so excited that they threw themselves at the door, forgetting that it was electrified. A jolt of electric energy zapped through them. They yelped and twitched, and for a moment they even glowed. Then they were on the ground, buzzing with leftover charge. We should have used a sticky note, James said weakly. Looker felt bad for his fellow prisoners, but there was no time to waste. All right, Ash and Dawn. Have Pikachu and Piplup launch an attack together so we can break down this door. You got it, Ash said. Pikachu, Thunderbolt. And Piplup, use Bubble Beam, Dawn added. The Pokemon aimed their attacks at the door. The door blew off its hinges. Looker and Team Rocket were free. You helped me out of a tough spot, Looker told Ash and Dawn. Thank you both. No prob, Ash said. Jessie, James, and Meowth were overjoyed to be together again. They flung their arms around one another. It's so good to see you, Mugs, Meowth said. I had faith in you, Jessie told the Pokemon. Meowth for the clinch, James cheered. But a moment later, their relief faded. What's with the fashion freaks? Jessie asked. She was ready to get some revenge. Team Galactic took a powder to parts unknown, Meowth admitted. Not for long, said Jessie. They couldn't stick around, not while Team Galactic was out there somewhere. Hasta la vista, James called to Looker and Ash. Meowth hesitated. I owe you one, he told Ash, Dawn, and Brock. Big time. It's been sublime, Team Rocket shouted as a goodbye. Then they ran off. They were determined to find Team Galactic. No one put Team Rocket behind bars and got away with it. They hopped into their hot air balloon and took off. Now where were they supposed to go? Sometimes your sense of direction leaves much to be desired, you know, Jessie complained to Meowth. She wanted Team Galactic to get found, but it looked more like Team Rocket was getting lost. It's this way, no doubt, Meowth insisted. He pointed toward a snowy mountain. Team Galactic's got nowhere to hide. Well, staying the course will get us to Mount Coronet, James said. We both know those fashion freaks have a fondness for frolicking in the mountains, Jesse admitted. So it's toward the mountains we will go. Coronet, ho! James shouted. Meowth couldn't wait. Yo, yo, yo! Chapter 8. Back at the Fugo Ironworks, Looker sighed. Even though he was free, he'd still failed in his mission. So Team Galactic escaped again, he said. That means my work here is finished. I'd sure like to know what they were working on here. Couldn't hurt to take one last look around. Looker led the group deeper into the factory. An elevator carried them several levels beneath the ground. That's where they discovered a laboratory. It was filled with scientific equipment, including 2 massive steel tanks. They were both empty. Don gaped at the strange surroundings. What's all this? This wasn't part of the Fugo Ironworks, that's for sure, Looker said, sounding excited. Must be Team Galactic's doing. He bent over the empty tanks and pulled out a tiny red gem. Check it out, Ash said eagerly. He couldn't believe that Team Galactic had left a clue behind. Looker, what do you think that is? Looker shook his head. He had no idea. None of them did. If they were going to solve this puzzle, they were going to need some help. So they returned to Floroma Town, where Officer Jenny was standing by to help them analyze the gem. She took them to a laboratory, where a technician hooked up the gem to a computer. That's it, the technician said. We're ready. Now we're able to transmit any data from the object directly to headquarters, Officer Jenny said proudly. Thanks for all your hard work, Looker told them. He couldn't wait to see what the analysis revealed. So let's begin, the technician said. He pressed a button. A green beam swept over the gem. Data began to scroll across their screens. It told them what the gem was made of and how it was structured. But suddenly, the gem began to glow. Then it started to tremble. The data on the screens vanished. It was replaced by a fuzzy gold mark. Dawn gasped. She knew that mark. It was the Team Galactic G. A moment later, that disappeared too. The screen filled with Charon's laughing face. Looker realized what was happening. No, he shouted. Turn it off! He lunged for the button, but before he could reach it, an explosion of light burst from the gem. The air sizzled with electric charge. It fried every computer in the room. When the light faded away, Officer Jenny looked around in confusion. She was glad everyone was okay, but what had happened? Before they could figure it out, the monitor buzzed with an incoming transmission. This is the Floroma Police, Officer Jenny reported into the monitor. A detective appeared on the screen. He did not look happy. The data you transmitted to International Police Headquarters has wiped our entire database out, he said angrily. And Team Galactic's data? Looker asked. He was afraid he already knew the answer. Apparently it's been destroyed as well, the detective said. Retrieval uncertain. Looker couldn't believe he'd been so foolish. So it was all a trap. That has to be why they left that red object behind, Officer Jenny realized. Looker nodded. A warning to stop further investigation. Or else. Whoa, Looker. Ash couldn't believe anyone could be so devious. I'll never give up, Looker exclaimed. He didn't care about the warning. In fact, now he was more determined than ever. The next time Team Galactic is up to something, I'll be there to stop them. No one wanted to wait for the next time. They wanted to stop Team Galactic this time. But it seemed like there was nothing else they could do. They left the police station, feeling defeated. As they walked down the steps, Dawn remembered one last thing that didn't make sense. About those Pokemon, the Lake Trio, she reminded them. What does it all mean? Ash shrugged. Not sure, since all we did was see them. I can't stop wondering how Team Galactic knew about it, Brock said. The Lake Trio were crucial to Team Galactic's plan. Even now, Cyrus is at the top of Mount Coronet, plotting their doom. The creation of a new world begins, he said to himself with an evil smile. The spear key and spear pillar, the adamant orb and the lustrous orb, the red chain. Now all that remains are the three Lake Trio. All preparations for the galactic bomb are complete, Saturn told him. Cyrus's smile widened. Excellent. He opened a transmission channel, and a woman with spiky purple hair appeared on his monitor. A dark visor hid her eyes. Cyrus quickly got down to business. Sorry to keep you waiting, Pokemon Hunter J. Please proceed with the Lake Trio capture as planned. Now it was only a matter of time. Chapter 9. Ash, Dawn, and Brock stood in the midst of a strange cloud of mist and stars. They didn't know where they were, how they'd gotten there. But they soon realized they were not alone. Dawn sucked in a breath as a gray and pink Pokemon appeared before her. It hovered in midair, its eyes wide and frightened. Mesprit, she whispered. At the same instant, a gray Pokemon with a yellow head appeared before Brock. Uxie, he exclaimed. Ash gazed at the blue Pokemon that floated before him. A Zelf, he said in a soft, odd voice. Each Pokemon had two long, slender tails that dangled like ropes from its graceful body. The tails were tipped with red jewels. Another red jewel sat at the center of each Pokemon's forehead. I'm wondering why you showed yourselves to all of us, Brock said. Uxie, said Uxie, sounding worried. All three legendary Pokemon seemed distressed. Hey, what's wrong? Ash asked. Tell us, Dawn pleaded. Is there something that you need to say? Again, the legendary Pokemon didn't answer. They twisted around in horror, as if there was something lurking behind them. It was a shadow. A giant, writhing shadow that was growing by the second. The darkness swooped toward them as if it were alive and hungry. That shadow, Ash gasped. Darkness surrounded them. The legendary Pokemon fled, but they couldn't escape it. Man, this is looking really bad, Ash said, panting as he chased after the Pokemon. He didn't know how he could fight a shadow, but he had to try. The legendary Pokemon needed him. But he couldn't outrun the shadow. None of them could. The darkness wrapped itself around the legendary Pokemon. Ash lunged toward them, desperate, and then he woke up. Ash sucked in a deep breath. Sweat poured down his face. His heart thumped in his chest. It felt so real. Even though it was the middle of the night, Dawn and Brock were awake too. Their faces were pale. What a dream, Dawn said in a hushed voice. I just saw the legendary Pokemon. That shadow? Brock asked, surprised. Yeah, me too. Ash's jaw dropped open. Did we have the same dream? It wasn't possible, was it? What Ash didn't know was that the legendary Pokemon were in serious trouble, in real life. While he, Brock, and Dawn were comparing their dreams, Hunter J's ship was powering toward his elf's home. We're now above Lake Valor, her henchman reported as they arrived. Descend to 500 meters, Hunter J ordered him. Prepare to drop galactic bomb. On the underbelly of the ship, big doors swung open. The galactic bomb descended. A metal claw attached it to the ship, but not for long. Down below, Pokemon trainer Gary Oak was walking along the lake with his dark-type Pokemon, Umbreon. It was black with golden stripes and a golden circle on its forehead, and I could sense that something wasn't right. At the sound of thunder, it looked up toward the sky, but that wasn't thunder. It was Hunter J's ship. Alarmed, Gary pulled out his walkie-talkie. Come in, Professor Rowan, he said. This is Gary at Lake Valor. Pokemon Hunter J has appeared. The professor could see the ship on the screen of his wall monitor. He frowned. I'm certain that she's come for the legendary Pokemon, he said. The professor turned to his assistant. All right then, get in touch with Yuzo at Lake Verity and Caroline at Lake Acuity. That was where the other two legendary Pokemon lived. Professor Rowan feared they might be in trouble too. Once he alerted Professor Rowan, Gary got ready for battle. It was his job to protect the Pokemon on Lake Valor, no matter what it took. Umbreon, let's go, he cried. Then he tossed out a Pokeball. Electivire, come on out too. The yellow and black striped electric-type Pokemon burst out of its Pokeball. But it turned out Hunter J wasn't the only threat. Before Gary could tell his Pokemon to attack, he heard a voice behind him. It was Saturn, along with two Team Galactic henchmen and Toxicroak. Before Gary could react, Saturn shouted, Toxicroak, use Dark Pulse! The poison and fighting-type Pokemon roared. A dark purple blast shot through the air. Oh no, Gary cried. Electivire! The electric-type Pokemon managed to block the attack. Get out, Saturn told Gary. He was enraged that anyone would try to challenge him. You're Team Galactic, huh? Gary said, trying not to sound afraid. Well, I'm not going to stand by and let you go. Umbreon, use Psychic! Umbreon's eyes began to glow. The air around it pulsed with its psychic attack. Toxicroak, use X-Scissor, Saturn ordered. Toxicroak charged, slashing its sharp red claws. Its attack was too strong. Umbreon went flying. It landed on the ground with a thud. Umbreon! Gary cried in alarm, but the Pokemon didn't move. Chapter 10. Sir, we've arrived at the drop point, Hunter J's henchman informed her. Right on time. Hunter J smiled. Release the galactic bomb. Beneath the ship, the metal claw opened, and the bomb dropped toward the lake. Plunged into the water with a mighty splash. The bomb rocketed toward the bottom of the lake, zooming deeper and deeper and deeper, until it exploded. As the lake was rocked by an enormous energy blast, Azelf screamed in pain. Far away in Floroma Town, Ash screamed too. Hey Ash, Dawn said, what's wrong? They were sitting at the kitchen table having a snack, but now Ash was grabbing his head like he was in pain. Are you okay? Brock asked. Ash stared at him in wonder. I felt it. It's Azelf. Dawn was shocked. You mean, like the dream? Brock frowned. If that's true, then what was that dream? He was more certain than ever. It hadn't been a dream at all. They decided to call Professor Rowan and tell him what had happened. I can't believe you all felt something, he exclaimed. I knew it, Dawn said. Something did happen. Team Galactic and Pokemon Hunter J have arrived at Lake Valor, the professor told them. Gary is there attempting to fend them off. Gary Oak? Ash asked, surprised to hear that his old friend was involved. Professor Rowan nodded, then transmitted an image of what was happening at the lake. It's Jay, Ash said, when he saw the ship hovering over Lake Valor. So Team Galactic's joined forces with Jay, Brock said. Dawn was worried for the little blue Pokemon who lived in the lake. And they're after Azelf. The galactic bomb had turned Lake Valor into a swirling vortex. It glowed with energy, shooting beams of light into the sky. Back at the shore, Gary was frozen at the sight of the vortex. It can't be. A glowing ball of energy rose slowly from the lake and hovered overhead. I'll enlighten you, Saturn said. The galactic bomb, made out of the meteorite taken from Fieldstone City, is powerful enough to open up a hole in space. Gary couldn't believe what he was hearing. You see, the lake Pokemon don't exactly live in a lake, as it were, Saturn continued. The truth is that the lake Pokemon simply observe our world from another dimension through a portal that looks very much like a lake. Safe in his laboratory, Professor Rowan watched the attack on his monitor. His screen showed the same glowing vortex forming at Lake Verity. Then Yuzo, the monitor there, checked in with bad news. Professor Rowan, this is Yuzo here, confirming abnormal activity at Lake Verity, he reported. Understood, Rowan said, sadly. He'd been afraid this would happen. The legendary Pokemon had been created during the very beginnings of the universe. They worked in close harmony protecting Sinnoh. Legend stated that if one of them were to fall, the other two would have to appear to restore balance. Professor, Rowan's assistant called. There's an incoming transmission from Carolina. Professor Carolina, stationed at Lake Acuity, didn't have any better news to report. It's happening here as well, she said. Is it those kids again? Yes, Rowan told her. It would appear that the legendary Pokemon are sending some sort of signal to Ash and his friends. It was a distress signal, because Azelf and the other legendary Pokemon were in some serious trouble. Unfortunately, Ash and his friends were too far away to help. Gary was brave, but he was also outnumbered. Electivire, use Thunder, he ordered. The electric-type Pokemon threw its Thunder attack at Toxicroak, but Toxicroak fended off the blow. It shot out a Poison Jab in return. Electivire toppled to the ground. Electivire! Gary shouted. You stay out of this, Saturn warned him. The Team Galactic henchmen tossed up handfuls of Pokeballs, and the sky filled with Golbat. As Gary watched, helpless to prevent it, Hunter J released Salamence. The giant dragon and flying-type Pokemon swooped into the air, with Hunter J perched on its back. They flew toward the glowing ball of energy that hovered above the lake. But it wasn't just energy. It was Azelf in a spear of light. Salamence, Hyper Beam, Hunter J ordered. The attack slammed into Azelf. In Floroma Town, Ash cringed in pain again. It's Azelf, he cried, but there was nothing he could do. The glowing energy surrounding Azelf got even brighter. Then it vanished. Azelf was left floating in the sky without any protection. The flock of Golbat swarmed. Use Supersonic, Saturn called to them. As the supersonic attack shook the sky, Azelf tried to fight back. It launched a powerful confusion attack. One by one, the Golbat dropped out of the sky. But Azelf wasn't safe yet. Hunter J was waiting. She fired her immobilizing beam at Azelf. The legendary Pokemon struggled to release another confusion attack, but Hunter J's beam overpowered it. The beam froze the Pokemon. It became stiff and lifeless as a stone, which made it easy for Hunter J to swoop in and trap it under a dome of glass. Azelf! Gary cried from the shore. The glass dome floated toward the ground. It landed gently in Saturn's outstretched hands. Gary rushed toward him, desperate to help Azelf. But Purugly and Skuntank lumbered into his way. Gary froze in his tracks. Before the Team Galactic Pokemon could strike, 2 golden energy balls appeared in the sky. It was Uxie and Mesprit, the other 2 legendary Pokemon. Mars gazed at them in shock. It's just as Cyrus said it would be. If one falls, then the rest come tumbling down too. What does that mean? Gary wondered. He was about to find out. Now, Golbat! Mars and Jupiter shouted together. Supersonic! The sky filled with deafening supersonic sound waves. Uxie and Mesprit dodged the attack as best they could, but they couldn't escape Hunter J and Salamence. The legendary Pokemon shot 2 brilliant beams of light toward Hunter J. Looks like they both used Future Sight at once, Saturn exclaimed. With Future Sight, the legendary Pokemon could send their attack through time. Which meant in the near future, Hunter J would be in big trouble. But for now, there was nothing to stop her from aiming her wrist cannon at Uxie and Mesprit. The immobilizing beam slammed into them. In seconds, both were petrified and trapped under glass. "What have you done?" Gary moaned, as Team Galactic loaded their Pokemon prisoners onto their ship. They ignored him. "Excellent work, Pokemon Hunter J," Mars said as the Pokemon Hunter landed safely. "I hope you're not hurt." "See, we couldn't just let ourselves be pushed around by the Lake Trio," Jupiter added. She had emerged from the ship to help tend to the Pokemon. "We are the chosen ones after all." "Hunter J, well done," Saturn put in. "You have your payment, as agreed." Once she was paid, Hunter J had nothing left to say to Team Galactic. She climbed back on Salamence. The Pokemon flew her back to her ship. "Ready for departure?" she asked. "We're ready, sir," the pilot said. "All right, return to base." He powered up the engines. But before they could go anywhere, two jagged beams of energy smashed into the ship. The engines burst into flame. It had to be Mesprit and Uxie's future sight attacks. Hunter J struggled to keep the ship in the air. "Increase engines to max power," she shouted. "Maintain our speed." Smoke billowed into the bridge. The ship bucked and shuddered beneath their feet. Crew members raced back and forth, patching up equipment and putting out fires. But the ship was falling out of the sky. "Engines losing power fast," one crew member shouted. "We've lost control," added another, terrified. The ship crashed into the lake. Windows exploded as water gushed into the ship. It sank quickly and then exploded. Pokemon Hunter J's ship had taken its last flight. The legendary Pokemon had gotten their revenge on Pokemon Hunter J. But they were still trapped, which meant Team Galactic was one step closer to achieving its evil plan. And Ash, Brock, and Dawn had felt every minute of it. They were connected to the legendary Pokemon trio. The pain the Pokemon felt was their pain, too. They knew they had to do something to save Azelf, Uxie, and Mesprit. But what? Chapter 11. The Team Rocket balloon floated over the mountains. Jessie and James scanned the countryside, searching for their prey. They were beginning to lose hope. Would they ever track down Team Galactic? James peered through his binoculars. "Wall-to-wall rock, and not a pebble more," he reported. "And no Team Galactic to even the score," Jessie complained. Meowth was sulking. "This is one stinking bore," he whined. Suddenly he spotted something. "Wait!" he yelped, pointing toward the nearest mountain peak. "Check out that rocky floor." "Where? What for?" Jessie asked. "Say, it's Lunchbox Guy," James cried happily. Not long ago, Looker had run into them on a train and given them box lunches when they were hungry. Team Rocket was always hungry. They had called him Lunchbox Guy ever since. They brought the balloon in for a landing. "Lunchbox Guy!" they shrieked together. "Shh!" Looker urged them. He was hiding behind a giant boulder, spying on Team Galactic. "Excuse me, my code name is Looker." "That's nice," Jessie said. "But to us, you're the boss of boxed lunches," James finished. Looker snorted. "Whatever." Meanwhile, Team Galactic's on a Mount Coronet watch. It's even possible they might have already spotted us here. "So you're looking for them too?" James asked. "What a coincidence." "Of course," Looker said. "After what they did to me before, I've got to figure out what they're up to here and put a stop to it, if only to restore my pristine reputation." "We'll help you," James promised. Looker didn't seem very grateful. "We're experts at world peace and beating up jerks," Meowth pointed out. "Team Rocket in your face," the three of them cheered. Looker sighed. It looked like he was going to have some help in this mission, whether he wanted it or not. Back in Floroma Town, Ash, Dawn, and Brock were eager to help too. They contacted Professor Rowan, begging him to protect the legendary Pokemon. "I know how you feel," he said, "but I'm afraid it's too late." "Professor, wait," Ash said before the professor could hang up. "We have to do something to help them out." "Right," Dawn agreed. We think the Pokemon are pleading with us to save them all now. We gotta go, Brock added. If the professor didn't know how to help the Pokemon, they would find another way. They ran outside. At that moment, Pokemon champion Cynthia's off-road vehicle pulled up. Cynthia was a friend of Ash, Dawn, and Brock's. "All right, hop in," she called to the gang. They hopped into the back and took off down the road as fast as they could. As they drove, Ash, Brock, and Dawn could feel the legendary trio calling to them. Would they get there in time to help, wherever there was? "If you want to help them out, you'll have to take care of Team Galactic," Cynthia told them. "You're all familiar with Looker, aren't you?" "Yeah, we are, from the International Police," Dawn said. "What about him?" "He's on Mount Coronet investigating," Cynthia explained. "We're going to meet him now." As they drove, they contacted Professor Rowan for an update. "I've asked Officer Jenny to check on the status of the entire area," he reported. "Do you have any idea where Team Galactic might have gone, Professor?" Dawn asked. "No," he admitted, "but I'll be sure to pass along any information as it becomes available. Cynthia, and you kids as well, be careful." "Yes, we will," Cynthia promised. Brock leaned forward to talk to the others. "So, I guess now we wait." It wasn't his favorite thing to do at a time like this. Cynthia looked thoughtful. "Do you remember the mural in the Celestic Ruins?" she asked. "Yeah," Ash and his friend said. It was a mural of the Lake Trio. Back when they first saw it, they'd never imagined they might actually meet the legendary Pokemon face to face. As of this moment, Team Galactic has the Lake Trio and the two treasures in its possession, Cynthia said, which looks to me like they're fully prepared to call forth Dialga and Palkia. Ash and his friends weren't sure what she meant. "Of course, Dialga is known as the ruler of time," Cynthia explained, "and Palkia is known as the ruler of space. But for two legendary Pokemon like them to fall under human control is beyond comprehension." She looked horrified at the thought. "Why, Team Galactic might be able to unleash ancient powers that we're not even aware of." Cynthia had no idea how right she was. At that very moment, the Lake Trio were imprisoned in Team Galactic space. They hung suspended in 3 vats of liquid. Cyrus looked down on them with pleasure. "Now, begin," he commanded at his team. Charon stood before a bank of computers. At Cyrus's order, he flipped a large switch. "It's time to see the power of the red chain." 3 red gems were lowered into the 3 vats of liquid. As they made contact with the Lake Trio, the gems began to glow. Slowly, they merged with the gems in the legendary Pokemon's foreheads. The Pokemon began to glow too. In the truck with Cynthia, Ash grabbed his head. His face twisted in pain. "You're feeling it again?" Cynthia asked. Ash could barely speak. He finally managed to force out the words, "It hurts." Dawn was too weak to move. "It's so intense," she murmured. Brock's head was pounding. He couldn't think. Much stronger than before. Cynthia turned to them, searching for words that would comfort Ash and his friends. But before she could speak, they vanished. The vehicle skidded to a stop. Cynthia gaped at the empty seats. "It can't be. They've been summoned." Chapter 12. "There, you see?" Charon asked gleefully as the Lake Trio continued to glow. "Yes, the Fieldstone meteorite was most definitely created from the core substance of the universe, filled with a power that we are now tapped into." He stopped talking abruptly as Ash, Dawn, and Brock materialized in the middle of the room. Team Galactic looked shocked. The kids looked confused. But Charon just laughed. "Well, could it be? Looks like we've got company." Ash swept his eyes over the laboratory equipment, Charon, and the rest of Team Galactic. Then he spotted the imprisoned Pokemon. "Azelf!" he cried. Dawn noticed them too. "Mesprit!" "Uxie!" Brock said. "The 3 of them must have brought us here." Ash turned to Team Galactic, furious. "All right, what have you all done?" he demanded. Team Galactic wasn't interested in giving out answers. They preferred to fight. Toxicroak's looking forward to seeing you, Saturn said happily. He tossed up a Pokeball, and Toxicroak burst out. Skuntank, now, Jupiter said, calling the poison and dark-type Pokemon. Let's do this. Purugly, we need your help too, Mars called. The normal-type Pokemon kinched its waist with its forked tail, ready for battle. Ash wasn't afraid. You ready, Pikachu? The little electric-type Pokemon wasn't afraid either. You're not ready for us, Mars and Jupiter jeered. Toxicroak, time for fun, Saturn cheered. The two groups faced off, poised to attack. But before they could, Cyrus appeared in the doorway. Hold on, he commanded. He didn't seem at all surprised that Ash and his friends were on board. No fighting allowed. Ash couldn't believe his eyes. Cyrus? Here? Cyrus was a wealthy businessman who had built many of the Sinnoh region's tallest buildings. Ash and his friends had met him before, but he pretended that he wanted to help Pokemon, not use their powers for evil. I don't get it, Don said. Brock did. That must mean you're part of Team Galactic. So that's how Jupiter knew we'd seen the Lake Trio. You told them, Ash said, scowling. They had trusted Cyrus, and he had betrayed them. Cyrus just smiled. Fighting is by far the most frightful byproduct of the human heart, he said. Haven't I been telling you that time and time again? He asked his henchman. Sir, Saturn agreed. He wanted to fight, but he couldn't defy his leader. Jupiter cleared her throat nervously. But since these children pose a very real threat to our plan for a new world order, isn't it only natural to eliminate them? Cyrus quieted her with a glare. Behold, he announced. This is just the kind of accomplishment the human heart has the potential to achieve. But when your heart is ruled by emotions, you will but fight, in which case humanity will never advance. Cyrus turned to Ash and his friends. I guess I could let you know what this is about, he told them. I am part of this. Team Galactic is my creation, and now you're in my creation's headquarters. Headquarters? Ash asked. In here? Correct, Cyrus said. We're bringing about the dawn of a new world order. So we're gathered here to discard the old world of discord and conflict and make a much better one in place of it. For Ash, the pieces were finally starting to fall into place. So it was you who stole the lustrous ore from the Celestic Ruins. You lied to all of us. Lose your rage, Cyrus suggested. It only destroys. No way, Dawn said. Her rage was just getting started. Not when you treat Pokemon that way. This has to stop. Now let them go back to their lakes. That can't be done, Cyrus informed her. They're quite necessary for us to be able to bring forth the new world. Brock gasped. Then that means it's exactly as Cynthia said it was. Cyrus saw there was no point in trying to convince the kids to go along with him. He turned to his henchmen. Obviously, these children must mean something important if the legendary Pokemon saw fit to bring them all here. We will need your help to keep them around until our task is completed, just in case. At his command, Team Galactic closed in on Ash, Brock, and Dawn. You won't get away with it, Ash shouted. Who cares if you're Team Galactic? He couldn't take his eyes off the imprisoned Pokemon. Even if he was outnumbered and surrounded, he had to at least try. Pikachu, Thunderbolt, let's go! Piplup, use Bubble Beam, Dawn ordered. Croagunk, do it, Brock added. Team Galactic prepared themselves for the attack, but the Pokemon weren't aiming at them. Instead, they aimed at the vats imprisoned in the Lake Trio. Pikachu's energy beam and Piplup's stream of bubbles smashed into the vats containing the Lake Trio. Their prisons burst into pieces. The Lake Trio was free. But Team Galactic wasn't going to let them go without a fight. Purugly, Mars commanded her Pokemon. Skuntank, Jupiter called hers to action. Iron-Tail, now, Mars told Purugly. The attack slammed into Ash, Brock, and Dawn. They sailed through the air and landed in a heap. Sludge Bomb, Saturn said quickly. Go! Skuntank attacked. A gush of black slime arced through the air, splattering Ash, his friends, and their 3 Pokemon. Pikachu, Piplup, and Krogan flew backward into their trainer's arms. The kids had no choice. They couldn't fight any longer. Their wounded Pokemon needed time to heal. At least we freed the Lake Trio, Ash thought. There was just one problem. The Lake Trio wasn't trying to escape. In fact, they weren't doing anything but hovering in the air over Cyrus's head. Gems in their foreheads were glowing. Azelf, oh man, what's wrong? Ash asked. Mesprit, don't you recognize us? Don said pleadingly. Cyrus grinned and raised a fist into the air. He opened his fingers to reveal another red gem at the center of his palm. We have the red chain, which now possesses the powers of the original one, he crowed. So as you can see, they are now under my complete control. Original one? Ash echoed in confusion. According to legend, these powers are responsible for reshaping our entire world, Charon explained, which means that no Pokemon is able to withstand them. That's when Ash understood. The Lake Trio wasn't free at all. They were Team Galactic's slaves. It is with these original powers that I will create a new world order, Cyrus roared. There was madness in his eyes. You're out of your mind, Ash shot back. You can't do that, Don yelled. Cyrus acted like they hadn't spoken. Make certain you take care of those children, he told Saturn. Then he spun on his heel and stalked out. The Lake Trio floated behind him. Come back here, Ash called, but neither Cyrus nor the legendary Pokemon listened. The Team Galactic henchmen closed in. They forced Ash, Brock, and Don out of their base and into their ship, locking the 3 trainers in. Ash and the others were trapped in a large, empty space of steel walls. Their hands were tied behind their backs. There was no way out. What's going to happen to us now? Don asked, frightened. Cyrus is using us as hostages so Yuxi and the others will do what he tells them to, Brock gasped. We're part of his backup plan, in case the Lake Trio breaks free from his control. Ash was worried for himself and his friends, but not as worried as he was for the Lake Trio. We've got to get out of here, he said urgently. Those Pokemon came to see us in our dreams. And they did it because they were asking us for our help, Don said. So we can't let them down. Everyone agreed. They had to help the legendary Pokemon, which meant they had to escape, somehow. Chapter 13. Looker and Team Rocket were still spying on Team Galactic. They had found the large stone gateway carved into the mountain. Several guards marched back and forth, protecting the entrance. Dear me, James said. My innate fashion-sensing instincts are telling me Team Galactic must be on the premises. Look at the size of that security detail, Jesse said. No doubt they've got a state-of-the-art hideout. Meowth was sick of waiting. He was ready for some action. Let's hit them where they hide. But Looker was cautious. Slow it down, he urged them. You need to secure the area first. Team Rocket didn't like that one bit. Policeman party pooper, they jeered. Jesse and James pulled a pair of Team Galactic uniforms out of their bag and pulled them on over their clothes. When it comes to disguises, we at Team Rocket are like no other, James bragged. And we mean that in a good way, Meow said, just in case there was any doubt. Of course, you're not the only ones, said Looker, when it comes to a master of disguise. He whipped out a Team Galactic costume. Soon, everyone was in costume. It was time to strike. Remember, we have to be careful, Looker warned Team Rocket. Our goal is to take control of Team Galactic's base, and then find a way to get in contact with Cynthia. Well, here goes nothing, Jesse peeked out from behind the boulder. The Team Galactic guards had their backs to her. Jesse threw a Pokeball. All right, Yanmega, use Silverwind. The dark green, bug and flying type Pokemon buzzed toward the Team Galactic guards and attacked. The guards didn't know what hit them. Soon they were all on the ground, their heads spinning. Looker, Jesse, and James rushed over to tie them up. They dragged the guards behind the boulder and took their place in front of the stone gateway. In their Team Galactic disguises, they were sure to blend right in. And just in time. There was a roaring thunder overhead, and the Team Galactic ship appeared in the sky. It came in for a landing. "They're here," Looker said. "Most likely with Team Galactic's leader on board." "About time we met face to face," James said. "Destroying those fashion freaks has been high on my to-do list," Jesse said. "Yeah, me too," Meowth added. The ship landed, and several members of Team Galactic climbed out. Jesse, James, and Looker stood stiffly at attention. They hoped their disguises would work. When Looker spotted Cyrus, his eyes widened. "I know that man," he whispered. Jesse recognized him too. "That big mouth gave us a speech back at the Celestic Ruins," James remembered. Meowth couldn't believe it. "He's the Team Galactic Big Cheese?" They weren't the only ones who spotted a familiar face. Team Galactic took one look and recognized them. Jupiter glared. "All right, Skuntank, use flamethrower. Let's go." A wall of flames slammed into them. When it faded away, their disguises had burned to ash. "How could they tell?" Looker asked weakly. He looked as if he were about to faint. "They couldn't know who we are," Jessie said. She, too, looked weak. "My mother wouldn't have known me in this disguise," James murmured. A moment later, he was out cold, along with Jessie and Looker. When they woke up, they found themselves in a storage hold, with Ash, Brock, and Dawn. Jupiter stood in the doorway, blocking their escape. "Hey, look, it's Team Rocket," Ash said in surprise. "Yeah, and Looker's with them," Dawn added. Looker had hoped to see his friends again, but he was sorry to see them here. "They've gotten you, too?" Brock jerked his head toward Team Rocket. "Why are you here with them?" he asked. As he spoke, Jupiter slammed the door shut. They were prisoners yet again. "Wait!" Ash shouted. He slammed against the door. "Open the door! Let us out of here!" There was no response. Jupiter joined Cyrus at the stone gateway. "The spear key," Cyrus requested. At his command, Saturn opened a silver briefcase. Inside lay a glowing golden lattice. It floated toward the stone gateway and the golden globe at its center. When the globe and the lattice made contact, the stone gave way to a gateway of pure energy. Cyrus pressed his hand to the globe, and the doors parted. Beyond them lay a staircase made of light. It led into the deep, deep darkness. "Spear pillar must be deep within that passageway," Charana said. Cyrus nodded. "Exactly as it was written in ancient times." They entered the darkness, all but Jupiter. She was left behind to keep an eye on the prisoners. And she was none too happy about it. "Aw, why do I have to stay behind and guard this thing anyway?" she complained. She was so busy sulking that she didn't notice Garchomp swooping down until it slammed right into Skuntank. The poison and dark-type Pokemon toppled over. "Skuntank!" Alarmed, Jupiter knelt by the wounded Pokemon as Cynthia's truck skidded to a stop before her. The Pokemon champion was never far from her Garchomp. Cynthia hopped out of the truck. Jupiter leapt to her feet. "I know you!" She pulled out a Pokeball, but before she could open it, Garchomp returned, and this time, the spiky dragon and ground-type Pokemon was ready for Jupiter. "Now, where are they?" Cynthia asked. A few moments later, Cynthia had found her friends. She pried open the doors and set them free. "Cynthia!" cried Ash. "It's the champion!" Looker said in surprise. "Thanks for getting in touch with me," Cynthia told Looker. If he hadn't, she would have never known where to find them. Quickly, the former prisoners tied up Jupiter. They found the other guards that Cyrus had left behind and tied them up too. "Don't feel very fashionable now, do you?" James taunted them. "There's nothing like a little payback," Jessie preened. "Time to soothe the savage ego." Jupiter was fuming. "It's too late," she told them. "The world as you know it is gonna end." "We'll see about that," Ash said. "You guys are through. Forget it." "The legendary Pokemon don't want anything to do with you either," Dawn said. Looker and Team Rocket decided to stay behind and guard Jupiter. But Ash, Brock, Dawn, and Cynthia had to find Cyrus and stop him from whatever he was about to do, which meant stepping through the gateway, no matter what was waiting for them in the darkness. Chapter 14. Cyrus led his team through the dark passage. Glowing silver pillars along the path lit their way. It felt like they'd been walking forever when they finally reached the treasure. A cluster of pillars surrounded a massive stone triangle. A pedestal sprouted from each point, and two more stood at the very center. So that's the spirit pillar, eh? Charon said. In perfect shape after all these years. Cyrus summoned the lake trio. He placed each of them on a pedestal at the 3 points of the triangle. Then he told Saturn and Mars to put the adamant and lustrous orbs on the pedestals at the center. Zelf, Mesprit, and Euxie, hear me now, Cyrus boomed. Transfer ancient powers to the adamant and lustrous orbs, and using the infinite original powers, connect time and space. The legendary Pokemon had to obey. They glowed red as the energy flowed through them and into the orbs. And fire! Charon shouted, setting off a cannon. It shot out 2 loops of red chain. They spiraled through the air of the spear pillar and the energy swirled through them. Above Mount Coronet, the sky began churning in a whirlpool of dark clouds. Day turned to night. The red chains glowed brighter and brighter. Fascinating, Charon exclaimed. Quite an impressive level of energy. Cyrus raised his fist and opened his fingers. The red gem embedded in his palm shot a bright beam at the swirls of energy. Dialga and Palkia, the time has come, Cyrus said. Now, reveal yourselves. Slowly, the swirls of energy resolved into 2 giant, ghostly Pokemon. One was blue, one red. Both shimmered, as if made of stars. Both were trapped in place by a loop of red chain. Saturn gasped in awe. We are witnessing the original powers. There was a long moment of silence as Team Galactic gazed up at the powerful Pokemon they had dragged into this dimension. Then the silence turned to chaos. Pikachu, Piplup, Staraptor, Croagunk, Gliscor, and Garchomp burst into the passageway. Ash, Brock, Dawn, and Cynthia weren't far behind. Cynthia stared at the 2 legendary Pokemon. Dialga, Palkia, and the 3 legendary Lake Guardians, she breathed. I've always wanted to meet them all, but certainly not like this. Stop it, Cyrus, Ash cried. Charon was furious. You guys just don't know when to quit. I've had enough, Mars growled. Purugly, now! She tossed out her Pokeballs. Purugly charged, while a swarm of Golbats swooped toward Ash. Quick, Pikachu! Use Thunderbolt! He yelled. Piplup, Bubble Beam! Dawn ordered. Golbat and Purugly were down for the count. Here's our chance to save the Lake Guardians, Cynthia cried. Quick! You heard that? Ash asked the Pokemon. They had. So they sprang into action. Pikachu, Staraptor, Piplup, Gliscor, Croagunk, and Garchomp zoomed to Team Galactic. Team Galactic didn't stand a chance. They ducked as Pikachu, Piplup, and Croagunk ran toward the Lake Trio. Together, the 3 Pokemon smashed the control jewels on the Lake Trio's foreheads. Then Ash, Brock, and Dawn swooped in and grabbed Zelf, Mesprit, and Euxie. Zelf, it's me, Ash said. Are you okay? I've got you, Dawn said. Mesprit was limp in her arms. It's me. I'm coming, Brock promised, but Euxie didn't seem to recognize him. It's Brock. Once the Lake Trio were off the pedestals, Dialga and Palkia faded away. They're both disappearing, Saturn cried. You showed Cyrus, Ash told his Pokemon as he returned to their Pokeballs. What do you think of that? He taunted Cyrus. You no longer have the power to control Dialga or Palkia, Cynthia told him. I wouldn't be so sure. Cyrus raised his fist again, wielding the red gem. At his command, Dialga and Palkia appeared. This time, it wasn't their ghostly forms. It was really them. Dialga and Palkia screamed and writhed, trying to escape from the red chain, but it was no use. Cyrus was still in control. They can't resist, Saturn cackled. It's impossible to break free from the red chain that contains the original powers. What's happening to them? Dawn asked. It has to be those rings, Cynthia guessed, pointing to the red chain. Without warning, the legendary Pokemon's eyes began to glow. A self slipped out of Ash's arms and floated before him. Uxie and Mesper did the same. What's going on? Ash asked. Sweat trickled down Dawn's forehead. It's so warm, she said. Brock was getting a strange, tingling feeling. They must be willing this to happen, he realized. The Lake Trio stared intensely at the kids, as if they were trying to tell them something. Ash closed his eyes. A voice spoke to him, deep in his mind. Though he'd never heard it before, he recognized it immediately. It was his elf's voice. Whoa, I can hear them, he said. They're asking us to help save Dialga and Palkia. Wow, I can hear them too, Dawn exclaimed. I can really hear them, Cynthia. The champion smiled. Your hearts have become one with the legendary Pokemon. It's truly a wonderful thing. Cyrus ignored them all. He couldn't be bothered to deal with such nuisances anymore. Not when he was so close to his goal. Dialga, ruler of time. Palkia, ruler of space. Release your powers now, he commanded them. Create a new universe before me. Dialga and Palkia let loose a mighty roar. Energy flowed from their open mouths. Get away, Cynthia screamed, as the beams combined into a swirling sphere. Ash, Dawn, and Brock dove for safety as the sphere expanded. Stars swirled within it. It really was a new universe, just as Cyrus had always dreamed. Our new world, he whispered, and it's about to be born. He stepped before the swirling universe. I am the one who is finally going to bring order to this chaos. I won't let you, Ash shouted. Aim for the chains, Ash, Cynthia advised. If we can release Dialga and Palkia, we might be able to stop the creation of the new world. Ash clenched his fist. Then let's do this. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Piplup, use Bubble Beam, Dawn told the little blue Pokemon. Now! Croagunk, Poison Sting, Brock shouted. Use Draco Meteor, Cynthia ordered her trusty Garchomp. The combined force of their attacks rained down on the red chain. It was working. The chain was weakening. Dialga, use Roar of Time, Cyrus commanded. Palkia, use Spatial Rend. Ash and his friends froze in terror as Dialga and Palkia unleashed their most powerful attacks. But the Lake Trio wouldn't let harm come to their friends. They threw themselves in the path of the attack, creating a protective energy shield around Ash and his friends. The Roar of Time and Special Rend attacks bounced right off the shield. We're okay, Ash said in surprise as the energy faded away and he was still in one piece. You did that for us? Dawn asked the legendary Pokemon. Thanks, you three, Brock said.